My name is Andrew Young. You may recognize me from the internet. I love my life, my cats, my job, and my community. I'm taking up your time today because on this journey of life, I've met wonderful people who make our city better, and I want you to meet them too. This is Andrew Young's Fantastic Talks with Remarkable People. Charismatic, catalyst, community developer in every sense of the word. This man could light up a dark room with simply a smile. He is one of the most genuine and thoughtful human beings I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Let's get to know this locavore legend, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Siskind. Bob, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
I didn't know who you were talking about, Andrew.
It's a surprise. It's you. It's you. Oh my God, today's all about you. So I really appreciate your time today. I just want to get into it, and I'm just gonna spout off a couple things people have said about you or the positions that you've held. Okay, so these are things that you've been called over the years, and it's all positive. So it's going to be great. Board chair, chairman, president, consultant, counsel, Hall of Famer. All really, really great titles to have. But in the short time that we spent together, it's not why you're doing what you're doing and not why you've done what it is that you have done in the community. So why have you given so much time and invested so much time in the community? What is it that prompts you and what is it that drives you to give back?
It doesn't happen in a shot. All of a sudden you change from A to B. Background. I grew up in a loving family where my mother and father were involved. Very early on, I was invited to participate. A man named Claude Pensa, who is a revered lawyer, called me when I was just a young lawyer, just starting law on Waterloo Street, asked if I would come and help him on the cancer campaign. So I moved outside of the Jewish community fundraising and involvement into the general community.
Okay.
And then later on, through a lucky stroke, I got asked to sit on the board at Western. And there I met a man named J. Allen Taylor, who was the head of Canada Trust.
Of course.
We took a shine to each other. I really liked that man, and all during his aging years, I would visit him once a month. And he would encourage me if I was finished with a board. Almost the next day, he would call up and say, "Hey, Bob, I've been thinking about this. Why don't you do this or why don't you do that?" So all my life, I've been lucky enough to have people moving me into community work. That's how it starts.
Of course, I did some research about you as well, and you've passed on that mentorship. So you have mentored other people in the community.
Mentoring is a funny word for me.
Sure.
I don't think I'm old enough to be a mentor. I know. But I do love talking to young people. Right. I've always liked it. I find their energy. You just interviewed a person named Lena Bowden, who is a wonderful human being.
Yes.
We got involved as friends because we were coming home from Toronto on a train. We were sitting beside each other. She was working with London Life, and she used to want to get involved with community. I was on the London Community Foundation at the time. She got involved, and I'm sure in your interview you found the wonderful things that she's done in the world in the area of philanthropy. So I talk to young people, I don't mentor them.
Right.
I've had mentors.
Thank you for the honesty. It's a major part of getting involved because, especially when you're younger, trying to get into this whole sort of overwhelming philanthropic world. It's important to have a mentor to get you involved because you don't know. It's kind of it's shotgun fire, right? You just hope something sticks.
You don't know where
right?
to go. That's true. You don't know how to get in. And boards and committees that I've been on, we've tried to encourage young people. For instance, on one, we said, we don't have anybody in their 30s. So we invited two young people, a guy named Mike Izinga, who became a very famous lawyer, and Dave Simpson, who went on to be a business professor, to sit on the board. And they said, we make enough money to buy a ticket, but nobody ever asks us. Right. And I remember we did a strategic plan with Community Foundation, And at the end of it, Dave Simpson said a wonderful thing. He said, I always knew what good meant, but I really didn't know what it meant for us. Right. And we learned. So it's an obligation that most boards and committees should be conscious of, right. Is encouraging people on committees, and then they go onto boards, and then they take leadership. Right.
Absolutely, and I'm an example of that, and thanks again to the London Community Foundation and the Engage program, which I know you still speak at, and that they suggest that you're a mentor whether you like it or not. So they'll give you that name tag that says mentor. So take that at face value. So thank you for your time on that. I'm curious to know, what do you feel your greatest success has been in the world of philanthropy? What hits you? What gets you right there?
It's a tough question because I don't think in terms of success in philanthropy. Okay. I've chaired some campaigns, a big one at Fanshawe that exceeded its goal. It was the first major financial campaign for Fanshawe, but that was raising money.
Right.
I've been involved in organizations that have expanded their breadth of both the input and the participation. That's another kind of success.
Right.
I find as I get older, cliches have more meaning.
Okay.
Because that's how they became cliches. Sure. So you actually do get out more than you put in.
Right.
When you're involved in an organization, they're a great organization in this city, you do get out more than you put in. You meet wonderful people. For instance, I was asked a couple months ago at a big function, don't you ever get tired of going to these functions? And I looked at the person, I said, no, not at all. I'm with 1,000 people, 800 people, all of whom have taken money out of their pocket, bought a ticket for a good cause. These are the people that want to make London a better city. How could I ever get tired talking to those people? And of course, lots of them are the same. But you never get tired of it.
Absolutely not. And we've spent a little bit of time at a couple of different events as well. Right. So, I mean, and it leads you to being on stage with me, which is, the ultimate compliment to me is spending, someone's time with them. So I appreciate that. You've invested a significant amount of time on boards related to education. Why is education such a focus for you?
That's probably also going back to my Jewish roots, which education is a very major part of our background. My experience in education, both at the university and Fanshawe, and then through other organizations in the teaching aspect of it, is that that's where we're really making a difference. We're making a difference in the generation coming up, particularly now with artificial intelligence, robots. We're not quite sure where the next generation's going to do. Right. And if we can teach them to be good, smart generalists, having a feel for education, feel for lifetime learning, adaptability, articulation, then I think we're doing a good job. And that's the challenge.
Perfect. No, I definitely appreciate that. And, the succession planning, especially on boards, but even in the community and community leaders is important. I hope that everybody sort of has the foresight of developing the next leaders. So.
We're pretty lucky in this city. Except for the odd time over the history of my working in the community, but most of the time, the leaders of the various big organizations get along well.
Right.
And when they do, they cooperate, because that's limited resources, limited number of people. You have to cooperate, and London's pretty good with that.
Right. One last question. What has been the greatest surprise in your philanthropic career? What surprised you the most?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. I was soliciting funds for Fanshawe. And the person I had lunch with, I knew was wealthy, but was never involved with community. It was one of those known by the fundraisers as not a chance.
Okay.
Went out for lunch, we chatted, and he liked Fanshawe. All of a sudden, in the middle of the conversation, he took a rumpled check out of his pocket, and I said, oh, you can pay it over the number of years. And he gave me a check that was almost 6 figures. I could have been blown off the seat. I expected to maybe get $500, $1,000, and I got this wonderful large donation.
Right.
That was a surprise doing philanthropy.
That's a great surprise to get. You are a wealth of knowledge. What I've known about you is every time you walk into the room, you light up a room. I appreciate your energy and I appreciate your time today. I know that everybody's going to watch this video and listen to this podcast eventually. I don't know how that technology works. Maybe we'll work on it together. But somebody's going to listen to this and I think you're going to inspire a lot of people. So I really want to appreciate, showing my appreciation and thanks for spending time.
I'm happy to be here. I love what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
Because it's positive. I'm reading a book now called More from Less. I finished a book called Fact Fineness. I subscribe to something called Future Crunch, and these are all positive, saying, yes, we've got problems in this world, but we're doing a lot of great things in this world. Yeah. And if we have a positive attitude and people watch the podcast and they say, I want to get involved, we're going to nail it.
Absolutely. Well, once again, I appreciate your time, and thanks for joining me again at the Wolf Performance Hall, who are wonderful hosts. Thank you, Mr. Siskind.